BookTube Nation, I'm Sam here again with A Bear and a Bee Books, and today I'm bringing to you a slightly belated magical readathon O.W.L.s TBR. I'm so excited to be able to be participating in this time. I really wanted to participate last year, but unfortunately was unable to. But this year I have made a full TBR and I'm really excited. I know that I am not gonna get through all these books because I just can't read that much nowadays. But I like having lots of books to choose from. I've learned from me, I really do like TBRs because as you can see, this is probably half of my books, and yeah, I have way too many to choose from. So having a large TBR I find really helps me to kind of narrow in what I'm reading, but I don't like having a strict TBR because I am kind of a mood reader, so a big TBR seems to be what works best for me. This readathon is, of course, I'm sure all of you know, but it is put on by G over at Book Roast, and she does such an amazing job. I mean, her attention to detail is amazing. This time around, of course, there are the careers, so you can pick a career to go along with the readathon. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to link her announcement video for the O.W.L.s readathon down below. Definitely, if for some reason you haven't seen it yet, go check it out. I'm really excited to be participating, and I've already started reading. Even though I'm a little bit behind posting, I was not behind reading. I had decided to go with the orologist career, which I believe I have to do divinations, history of magic, and astronomy, I believe. So I have books for all of those, but I also picked a book for every subject because I just wanted to have some choices. For ancient runes, it was to read a retelling, which I have tons of. That's one of my favorite things to read. And this is a Romeo and Juliet. And this is called A Prince of Shadows by Caine. And I actually have been meaning to get to this one for a while. Whenever I think of picking up a retelling, this is one of the ones that kind of pops into my head. But since I do like a fairy tale readathon, this one doesn't really fit, so it kind of gets pushed to the back burner. So I thought, what an appropriate time to get to it. And I'm really excited to check this one out. It seems to get pretty good reviews, and I really enjoyed studying Shakespeare in school, so I hope to really enjoy this. Next is Arithmancy, and that is 2 or more authors. And I bought this pretty much on release day. Everybody went super crazy about it. I still have it sitting on my shelves. I need to read this. And of course, you know, everybody knows it's one of those unique formatted books. I like stuff like that. I don't always want to read stuff like that, but when I do come across it, I find it intriguing and interesting that somebody thought not only to write a novel, but then to do things like that. Like, I've tried writing a full novel in the past, and just trying to get enough words on the page is hard enough, but then adding in this special kind of extras is, I don't know, I think it's really awesome, and I'm excited to check this one out. And this is by Amie Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. Next is the first class I actually sat for, the first exam I actually sat for, and this is for divination, and that's to read a futuristic book, and this is called Last of Her Name, and this is by Jessica Khoury. And this one hasn't gotten as much hype as the last Anastasia retelling, but this is another Anastasia retelling in space, and I read, I think, is it Heart of Iron? I'll link the book down below, but I read that one last year and I really enjoyed it, and this is a new one that came out this year, and I am really pulled into this world. Like, I feel like it's kind of like when you binge watch a favorite show on Netflix, like, or Hulu. Like, I just want to, like, I don't want to put it down. I just want to kind of binge through it. And it's fun and it's fast paced and it doesn't take itself too seriously. But I'm really enjoying it, and I can't wait to see how it ends. And next is Astronomy, and that is to read a book with star in the name. Now this one I actually picked 2 for. I actually had a lot that kind of fit this category. So the first one is a book I got for my brother for Christmas, and he is really big into Star Wars, and I enjoy Star Wars and reading. He picked up a bunch of the YA retellings for me. retellings, a bunch of the YA Star Wars books for me. And this one is by Claudia Gray, and this is called Lost Stars. And I don't know a whole bunch about this other than those things, and this is one of those I just kind of want to jump into because I know there's a lot of like lore and history stuff that goes into Star Wars that I'm not 100% familiar with, so I just want to check this out and see what I think. And then my other choice is Sky Without Stars. This is a brand new release that just came out. I haven't been ordering as many. I mean, I still am getting a fair few, but last year I ordered a ton of YA new releases, and this year I've been kind of mixing it up with YA and historical fiction. But this just called to me. This is by Jessica Broady and Joanne Rendell, and this is a kind of sci-fi retelling of Les Mis. Now, I've been to lots of Broadway, but like local in my area where I live, and I've been to the opera, and I'm really grateful that I've been able to have those experiences. But out of all the things that I've seen, the thing that spoke to me beyond all others was Les Miserables, and there's something about that Broadway that just speaks to my soul. It touches my heart. I can't help but well up at the end of that, and I just feel that it's so infused in what it means to be human, and it's just such a beautifully written Broadway show, and I need to get to the original work. I do own a copy, but I haven't read it yet. But based on my love for the Broadway and all the music, I had to give this a chance. Next is Care of Magical Creatures, and that is to read a book with a land animal on the cover. And I had to do this one because I love Hagrid. Out of like, you know, if I was like, gee, what class would I like to go to? I mean, I'd love to know Transfigurations, but I would like to like go and hang out with Hagrid. I love nature, I love animals, and I think that that would be really cool. For this one, I picked Maybe a Fox, and of course my land animal. This is by Kathy Appelt and Allison McGee. This is, I believe, a middle grade. It has to do with loss and grief, and I thought the cover was just adorable. I've had this for a while now and been meaning to get to it. It also has, there are some like illustrations in it, like rocks and things, and it just seems like it'll be a good read. And I've already started this one. Okay, next is Charms, and that is to read an adult book. And for this one, I actually read like, you know how in Goodreads you can read the introduction or like a snippet, like a preview. I read all of the preview on this, and I liked it so much I ordered a copy. Plus, I loosely follow the Women's Prize for Fiction, and this is on the long list, so I'm really excited to give this a try. And this is The Silence of the Girls, and this is by Pat Barker, and this has to do with like the ancient world. I love anything that's like retelling style, no matter what kind of retelling, whether it's classics, fairy tale, ancient world. I enjoy all of that. I studied a lot of like Sophocles and Plato in college, so I enjoy this kind of thing, and I'm excited to check it out. I've heard, though, just forewarning, that it is very gruff. It's very real. There's a lot of trigger warnings in here, so if you're interested, definitely look into that a little further. Next is Defense Against the Dark Arts, and that is to read a book that starts with an R. And for that one, I've picked Revenge of the O.W.L.s by Michelle Modesto. I've had this one for a while. I've heard that this book is really wonky. It's kind of weird. But I actually like that kind of thing. I like when books don't do what I think they're gonna do, so I'm hoping that that is what this is. It has like Western vibes, and it just sounds quirky and different, so I'm intrigued to check this out. Next is Herbology, and it's to read a book with a plant on the cover. For this one, I've selected The Looking Glass. This is by Janet McNally. It has leaves, that counts. Plants. There's even like butterflies in her hair, which is kind of cool. But I've been meaning to get to this one for a while. I think it's like a retelling, I think, of Alice and, you know, The Looking Glass, but it's more of a dark, hard-hitting contemporary retelling. I don't know a whole lot about this one, but I got kind of the vibe of that synopsis and I saw the cover and it sounds amazing. And for History of Magic is a book published at least 10 years ago. And for this one, I've selected another retelling. That is A Curse Dark as Gold. This is by Elizabeth C. Bunce, and this is a William C. Morris debut award winner. This is one that's kind of a staple in the older retelling world. It's one I've been meaning to get to for a while. It's a Rumpelstiltskin retelling, which we don't get a lot of. There is mostly like Beauty and the Beast is probably the most popular, and then I would say Cinderella, but Rumpelstiltskin is not one that you see often. So I'm excited to give this a try. I have heard an author I follow really liked this, so I'm really excited to give that a try. Fantasy, historical fiction, sci-fi, those are just when I think what I want, or even classics. But like a modern contemporary is not really something that I typically grab for, but I've been thinking about this one for a while now, and I'd like to get to it. And that is Rainbow Rowell's Landline. I think this is her adult novel. I don't know if she wrote any others, but this has to do with like a marriage, I believe, and it's like they're having some troubles, and the woman picks up the phone and she's talking to her husband from like many years ago, like at the beginning of their relationship, I believe. And it just sounds really interesting to me, and I think that that would be kind of a cool concept if you could talk to yourself before things have happened, or before you've learned certain things or made different mistakes or become a different person. So I really like the concept of this, so I hope that I enjoy it as well. Next is Potions, and that's to read the next book in a series, so that's like your next ingredient. And for this one, I'm going to read Venturous by Betsy Cornwell. And this is book 2 to Mechanica, which I read for the Fairy Tale-a-thon earlier this year. And I am trying really hard to, whatever book I read, try and read the next book within like a year and a half at least. I know that that's a lot of time for some people, but for me, I put sequels off like years, like way too long, and then I don't really remember what happened. So either I read them all together or I let them go. So I'm trying to keep up with everything I've read this year and at least read the next book. I believe this one's a duology, so I'll be done, so that'll be good. Mechanica was like a steampunk Cinderella retelling with not the romance you would expect. So, you know, I don't mind romance in my books, but I don't like it too heavy either. So I enjoyed it. I thought it was a fun kind of a romp. And the next one is Transfigurations, and that is the last class. There's no way I'm gonna get through all of them, but I'm hoping to at least get like an Exceeds Expectations. Yeah, to get an Exceeds Expectations, you have to read 6+ or sit for 6 exams and pass 6 exams. Anyway, for Transfigurations, you had to read a book with sprayed edges or a red cover. Now, the only sprayed edged books I believe that I own are all Dickens. And though I like to make things difficult, I'm not gonna read a Dickens for this readathon since there are like 11 other books on my TBR.
Great expectations.
Not gonna happen. So anyway, so I picked a red covered book. This is Eva Luna. This is something I've been meaning to read for a while. This is by Isabel Allen, and the blurb on the cover says that it's so powerful it even made a dictator cry, which, you know, that's an interesting blurb. But I started, a lot of times what I'll do on Goodreads when I'm looking to maybe buy a new book, I do read that, you know, like you get to like the first chapter and a half or 2 chapters or whatever. And when I read this one, it was really, it felt very whimsical. It felt very fantastical. I really enjoy modern classics. Not this past year, but the year before, I read and enjoyed quite a few of those. I found a new love for reading modern classics, and I picked up a few of them. And this one just really spoke to me with the writing style. It starts this little girl named Eva, and she's you know, it starts kind of following her life, and she's definitely different. you know, she lives in this shadowy house, and it just sounded right up my alley. So that is a lot of books for me. I think the most books I've read so far this year is maybe 7. So I'm hoping for a good month. Cheer me on, yay! Plus it's my 2-year booktube anniversary. Yay! I was gonna wear my Hufflepuff shirt today. Please forgive me, I'll wear it in another video. This is a Hufflepuff house. Both me and my husband are Hufflepuffs. We're not yet sure what our daughter will be, but I'm leaning towards Hufflepuff. But anyway, so for my 2-year, I've been kind of coming up with different ideas on things I could do. And I think what I'll do is I'm going to post on Twitter. I have this thing about not reading overhyped books right away. I tend to wait until the hype dies down just because I don't want it to like confuse how I feel about the book. I don't like to be swayed one way or the other. And the only way I know to avoid that is to just kind of wait for it to die down. But I know that there are some really hyped YA books out there that I haven't got to for that specific reason. So I think what I'll do is go ahead and create a poll on Twitter for my 2-year anniversary, and I'll just put a couple of the overhyped books that I haven't got to yet and just see which one that you guys would like me to read. And then once I do that, maybe I'll do like a quick video book review on the overly hyped book. And then if I have like a lesser known title that I think matches up well, maybe I'll do kind of a compare and contrast. But if I don't, I'll just do like a quick little like book review on it. So, but anyway, that was all I had for you today. If you're still here, thank you. I appreciate you. But I want to thank you so much for spending your time here with me today. If you're a return subscriber, thank you so much. And if you could, please go ahead and click that subscribe button down below. If you're new, I would love to see you back. If you are participating in the Magical Readathon, please let me know what house you are and what exam you're most excited to sit for. And I'll see you soon. But thanks for being here with me today. Farewell for now. Bye-bye.
Yes, we had a fun romp. It was kind of a tryst.
Should I not say that? That's very British of me.
Go romping through the shrubs. There's a shrubbery!